I've been exercising my free will. Just wanted to make sure that when I do YouTube videos or talk any day, it's because I actually want to. Not because I feel like I have to. And one of these rocks could just let loose and fall. A tree. This is what has happened. Looks like it's time to go hide in these bad boys. The caves and the rocks. Man, what would make you say fall on us and hide us from the face? I've never been to this place. So I've just been working, just listening to videos, books of the Bible being read. Seeing what Paul had to say, his language. I can see people coming from other planets, and they know how to travel through space. Space just isn't something where there's a bunch of rocks flying by and you never know when you might get hit. It's nothing like that. It's like flying an airplane, but one that is probably super fast. Other planets, I mean, where are they coming from? Where's Enki and Enlil coming from? Sure is peaceful up here. You won't have much company. You know, I know the deception is already here. We're in the thick of it. And I'm looking forward to where it's like the crossroad, where all the deception that's supposed to be out there is known completely, 100%. And then we'll worship our God, and they'll worship their gods. I have voluntarily just pushed record every day of my life, just about, for the past 4 years. Mainly 3.5. Not until the beginning of 2018, I decided to just make sure I do a video every day. One of the reasons is because YouTube was, they weren't sending notifications. So my way of solving that to any of my subs was to let them know that, well, if you don't get a notification, at least you know that I still made a video that day. So all you got to do is just go look for it. That was steering away from the problem of silencing you somehow. So I tried to solve problems. And then I just kept talking about stuff. Ultimately, I'm always talking to myself. But then now there's a new connection. There's like a new, it's tapped into the spiritual realm of communication. What is going to happen to this world? Well, this is the 10th year. I've been at it for 10 years, thinking in my head about these things, trying to tell anybody I can that would listen, not really understanding God's judgment with May 21st, 2011, Harold Camping, warning everybody. Didn't really understand. I got duped. I thought we were going to get raptured up out of our physical body, and our spirit goes up with the body. I didn't really think too much into it. I just thought, yeah, I mean, look, anything's possible, so. But it's more about the spiritual understanding of it, and I started to learn that more. And then coming across SJD and Justin helped me come back down to earth with some things that I thought were literal, like the earth is reserved for fire. I remember the one time at my job, I was taking a break, the Enclave, and I was listening to Justin talking about how it's not a literal fire. And then I started thinking, like, well, yeah, I mean, that does make sense, because it's the word of God that proceeds out of your mouth is the fire, devouring your enemies. So I started to look at it more in a spiritual sense, that these things aren't literally going to happen. Then I started thinking about Christ and how he was portrayed, that he died on a tree and was nailed to it and killed, literally, but just killed for sticking up for people. The benefit of you believing that, for those that push the interpretation, is that if you try to become Christ-like, you will die. But that's also you're supposed to not worry about the fear of that thought. You're going to be like Christ regardless if you die or not. And then the sting of death, once you realize that this is all an act, nobody's really dying, then you understand that, oh, you can't hurt me. you can't actually kill me. Because who really wants to be killed? It's like, oh, well, the Lord's coming. And, you know, if we die, we die. If we get tortured to death, it's you know, the Lord, it's Lord willing. Nah, it's not the Lord's willing for you to be tortured to death anymore, because you're still alive being tortured to death. That is the death. Oh, death, where's your sting? Is when you have no more fear of it, and you actually know the truth also. If you die, you die. How are you going to stop it? How are you going to prevent it? How do you know when you're going to die unless you kill yourself? So how are you supposed to know when you're living your life what's going to happen? You just live it. Don't let those thoughts pop in your head and dwell on them. It's all about the fear of climbing a high mountain. It's hard work, but well, I mean, once you get up here, it starts to feel a little better. But then you gotta go back down, and you know, you might fall. So you can fear going down the entire way instead of enjoying just mountain climbing and looking at the scenery. Because that's what happens. People get robbed of their now moments. Enjoy the walk. Don't worry about it if you trip. If you trip, you trip. You know, just try not to continually roll down the hill, because there's a lot of jagged rocks and you really could die easily. Man, that one looks like it has its mouth open, waiting to devour you anyway, with the tongue at the bottom and fangs. But I started to realize that things are more spiritual, and don't take things so literally. That's why when I would make all those predictions about second 9/11, and the ones that knew that it was never going to happen, you had inside knowledge. And the rapture, I might have predicted it once or twice, and then I thought, maybe your body just drops dead and your spirit goes up, just like when you die. And then I realized, well, that is what happens in the rapture. When you actually physically die in your body and your spirit continues on without your flesh, that is the rapture. So if you're waiting for a rapture to happen, you're waiting to die. If you're waiting for a rapture to take place with your spirit, you're waiting to die. Because when your spirit is absent from your body, you're present with the Lord. Wherever we came from, however this thing happened, how much credit do you give Satan for creating us? With the flesh, with the spirit? Can he go as far as a spirit being trapped and then injecting it into a machine, and then you become a son of God? And then, but then there's the Son of God who was born with water and blood, like the water and blood from a woman. Definitely a script, definitely coming to the end. Alien invasion, well, yeah, because down here in this pit hellhole, that's why we got to look up, and we can't ever see anything. When they're up there, they look down and they can see the entire planet. We're down here, we're trying to like look up. It's tough. We can't see what's beyond all these trees, the wilderness, because we're actually down here in hell. This is a pit. We're all in captivity. These are the days of King Neb and being taken captive the 3-year period of basically being nourished. It's not just one person being nourished. It's both sides. So 10 years, 10 days, May 21st, May 31st. Harold Camping talked about the second month, the 17th day of the month being May 21st. The second month, the 27th day of the month being, being May 31st. 17th day being May 21st. They made a big deal over the warning of God's judgment on May 21st, 2011, because they mocked him a lot, and he was on the local news channels. So thank God that he spent all that money to get those billboards up. That way he can use that money to get that warning out and just give people the heads up. Now, I don't know how many people actually paid attention to it, but I know I did. And those aliens coming from different planets, they know who Harold Camping is too. They knew he was the truth. They know how this works. They know who's doing the work. The works that follow them over there. Everybody just got to come clean with everything. That's all. If not, then you just die in your sin whenever it is that you die. Whenever you get raptured, that's it. You're going to die in your sin because you're just going to go and continually sin. And whatever happens in life, it's enjoyable. Of course sin is enjoyable. But that's only if you can turn off your conscience afterwards. That's the problem that gets you. Yeah, the sin's enjoyable, of course. Your flesh, Satan rules it. But your spirit is what should trump your flesh, and it should get you to not want to do those things ever again, like that. How can you be perfect? How can any person on the planet ever be a perfect human being? Well, that's the turnoff. That's why I got so many people not believing in Jesus. I haven't built my other shoe yet. Mind the shoe was. Maybe I can go down here and see if I can float. I think if there was like some kind of pole to hold on to, with that, like holding your balance, I'm pretty sure I'd stay up. But that's going to be the trick, is trying to keep the balance while I try to walk over on that water and see if maybe that's possible. I just don't believe that anybody can actually walk on water without some kind of special effects. And it's because I've never seen it, and it goes against the law of physics or whatever. The laws of nature just goes against it. But how did the boats, they're a gazillion pounds, and they're built, well, no, I understand now. When you build it in a V shape, I always wonder, how the hell can a big ass boat, a ship, not sink in the water? Doesn't even make sense. But yeah, it makes perfect sense, because the pressure of the water is keeping that thing back up on both sides. So just imagine, you know how when you go in a pool and you try to take a deep breath, it's harder to breathe because the water's collapsing on you. So that's how it stays up. But it just has to be built like that. It can't be built like a brick. So if it's flat, not so much. And on my Air Force and the Showas, they're double layered, and the outer layer is more like a boat shape. So we'll see how it works. But I've basically been talking to this camera, either this one or my other one, maybe one other phone, for 4 years, about things and whatever and whoever and however, and getting attacked for doing that exact simple thing, which is pushing record and speaking your mind. I never knew that speaking your mind would have so many people minding your business. And then you start to realize more and more people are actually listening. This is me thinking, more and more people are actually listening, and it seems to be a broader group of people. I mean, they could actually be aliens from other planets. But they also hire these people. They're called agents. And agents they're people too, but agents have a task to do. Their task is to instill reasonable doubt. That's all. It's not like everybody's evil. It's just you're playing devil's advocate. So you're saying, well, what if this, or how come that? And it, rightfully so, everybody has a right to their opinion and an argument as to what you believe is the true interpretation of anything. So the more people that keep listening to the same message, my message is, well, it's just what's happening now. What's happening? What's happening now in my life over here? My perspective of what I'm seeing going on. And who even really cares? Well, obviously you do, because you're still watching. And even if you don't care, it's because you have to watch. It's your assignment. But you're welcome to watch, and I don't have a problem with that. I just prefer for people to tell the truth and just admit it. But I also understand that you can admit it without saying it, just by certain movements of the eyeballs or something. Yeah, maybe you're itching your nose for some reason at the time you're saying something that just kind of draws a little bit more attention. It could be a false signal as well. You got to wait for the second nose sniff or something. But that's discussed among the ones behind the scenes beforehand, and then we people on the outside, we just try to figure it out. So that's all I've been trying to do, is figure out the world script. I'm pretty sure I know the people that are writing the script. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I have a good, feeling that I might at least know in the direction of where the people reside. That, they just have the ability to inject certain stories into the mainstream media to steer people in a certain direction that you'll go only if you don't know the direction you're supposed to go. So all this is obviously pre-planned. Maybe this planet is only 150 years old, with it being inhabited, and up there, because there was like a 150-year deal or something, and Enki and Enlil are here now battling this thing out. And so we're just observing the war. King of the North, King of the South. I always knew somebody was in charge of the world and the way the economics work. How money gets distributed around. I always pinpointed it. It has to be somebody. There has to be a person. And then I always knew I was being surveilled. Maybe I was paranoid as a kid, but I don't think so, because the first 5 years I just was living where I came from, trying to figure out why I just transferred from where I was to here. with wherever, but I don't even remember where I was. I just know that now I'm here. So trying to figure out where you are coming from. And so I always felt a presence of, if not anything, just another spirit with me. Not realizing that, well, it's your enemy, Robin. You have another spirit with you. You're born into it. Your DNA. So did they make us with DNA, injecting an evil DNA and a good DNA, and then that's where we get our good and evil side inside of us? As a twin system, like that's the true meaning of the twin system, is it really is a, Satan created us, and then because we have two different DNAs, he created us to war with each other. But the Spirit of God creates without any type of injections, any type of literal transitions of anything, any surgeries. The Spirit is what takes over the flesh, and you tend to stop warring with it so much because you put it in check. Usually due to fasting and, for the food part, but even fasting, I guess you can call it a fast from YouTube videos without notice. It's just something I felt like I felt like, wait a minute, do I really feel like doing a video today, or do I feel like I have to? Well, let me test myself. I don't feel like it. Yeah, but Rob, you've been making it every day now. Yeah, but I don't feel like doing it, Henry. But everybody's used to you being up every single day. Henry, did you hear what the frick I said? Shut up. I don't want to do it. Beat it. Get behind me, Satan. All right, fine. And that's how Satan flees from you in your own vessel, when you tell yourself to shut the hell up. Because it's a twin system inside of you. When you stop battling and you win the war, and you know the sound of your enemy, because he sounds exactly like you in your spirit, the same voice, audio, sound, but energy-wise, completely negative, always negative. What would it feel like, Robin, if you fell down and just tripped and banged your head on these rocks and flipped over and kept continually rolling down the hill? Well, Henry, I think it would suck pretty bad, but I'm going to continue to walk down here anyway. All right, but just watch out, because that one right there is pretty sharp. This is what goes on in your head. When you realize that it's the other side of you, you tend to be able to silence him and turn the volume down. Because now he's just your pesky little pissant brother in your head with you, trying to lead you astray, acting like your older, bigger brother, when he's not. He's really your younger brother in spirit. Yeah, he was born first. So what, Cain? You're always born first. That's because you got to go through it first. And Abel, if you want to even flip it around, Cain being Abel, Cain is not evil, or Abel is evil. Either way, we're all freaking evil when we're born. Is that a dead sheep? With an axe through the middle of its head, with its eye right there, and its nose, the bottom there, the eye, and the lump over there, split right in the middle. Evil has its way first. God created man and woman in his image as well. So did Lucifer. Lucifer did his first. God does his next. Coming up. Here comes the world. See, this is before the foundations of the world. It truly is before the foundations of the world. So the world's getting ready to start. Satan's time is up. He knows it. We're in the 10th year. May 21st, 2011. Didn't know exactly how this judgment would be, but it's been in the working for quite some time. Around 7 years before I hopped on YouTube, it was already in the workings. I just didn't know exactly what it meant at the time, but I always kept note. I saved the date. I saved the date. Looks like Darius is getting ready to take over. But Belshazzar, is that his name? Or is it Belteshazzar? They call Daniel Belteshazzar. Or that king. The time is up because the writing's on the wall. He offered Daniel 3rd place because he was, I feel like he was trying to take his place and offering him what is going to be, because the deputy's time is up. The power to act is over. But man, it's going to look like... I've been waiting for this moment all my life, oh Lord, to see the final movie at the very end of how it ends. And all that worry that I did all this time for nothing. All those years of... The cankerworm took our lives away, because he took away our lives. Like, my hoods were... That's what I was doing, designing those hoods. And it was quite interesting doing, and I was trying to get a shop so I can do it more efficient and faster, but I couldn't get the funds from my boss. He was thinking about doing something at his farm, but never came through. It's like broken promises. But now I'm ready to get back to life again for the first time, because this death hellhole, we're climbing out of the pit, even though we're still staying here. Ain't nobody going anywhere. It's Earth. Why would I want to leave Earth? This is where